think I know better than anyone that there's a whole bunch of candidates out there that are less than ideal for this year's local body election. But that doesn't mean that there aren't some great candidates running as well all over the Motu. So I figured I'd sit down, have a chat to some of them, learn about what it is that they want to bring to the table, see who it is that's running with it this election. Hello there, kia ora, welcome to the show. We're going to be sitting down with some of the election candidates from all over the Motu to learn a little bit more about their vision for their communities, the kaupapa that they're going to lead with, and how they intend to achieve what they lay out. Joining me today from the capital city, Wellington, we've got Tory Whanau, running for the Te-Whanganui-a-Tara Māori ward, and stepping down as the first ever Wahine Māori in the role of mayor. Tory, congratulations, I guess, on the end of the term, and how are you holding up?
Oh, kia ora, thank you for having me again. One of my favourite podcasts, of course, in the country. So it's always great to be on here. I think I've got about 4 weeks left to go as the mayor. And if I were to compare how I feel now to a year ago, it's actually significantly better. A lot freer, a lot more myself. It's quite funny, seeing people go, "Oh man, I love this version of Tory. Oh, I love this no fucks given Tory," and it's true. Like I felt in the Mayoralty a struggle to find kind of myself with all these outside pressures, with the bullying, with the harassment. But now that I have that barrier removed, it's been super empowering to really fight for what I believe in, to call out bad behaviour, and to really talk about the issues. So I'm really, really sad about stepping down as the mayor, because it was a huge honour to be the first Māori mayor of Pōneke. But it was the reality of the landscape which has changed significantly. It's not just me; it's many progressive politicians having a really hard time at the moment. And while I'm sad about that, I'm also super excited about my next journey, where I can focus on the best outcomes for my people. It's time to serve my people while still serving Wellington City. So look, I'm all good.
So then, how would you describe your vision for the future of the city?
The vision for the future of the city hasn't changed from when I was mayor. So for me, it was always ensuring that we had a future focused city that where people and nature can thrive. We are a proud capital city and one with a real creativity to it. I've been really proud of this council. We've passed our long-term plan, which invests heavily in things like water infrastructure. We've tripled that of the last council, and we're well on track to really address our water infrastructure problems. The continuation of transport funding and transformational projects like the Golden Mile. We're also on track to open the city library in a matter of months, the town hall in 2027, and of course our waste minimisation plant, which is going to reduce our emissions significantly by 2027 as well. And we passed the district plan to enable more housing, so we can really start to work towards affordable homes for our people across the city. And it's also one of the few cities in the world where nature and biodiversity is thriving. We have a huge increase in our native plants, native species, kiwi in the hills.
I was going to say, I saw that in the news today that there's been like a boom of the kiwi population in the area, and that's
Huge
amazing.
boom of our kiwi, and that's driven. That is actually a wonderful example of how we should be working as a society. That was done in partnership with a real grassroots organisation, Capital Kiwi, that they all started as volunteers way back when and care about our environment. Now they're a fully fledged trust with mana whenua, directly with iwi, that they have really helped grow this population of kiwi, and we as a council have just helped fund it. And that, so initiatives like that, where it's working with the community, working with mana whenua, and funding where we can is a wonderful example of collaboration in our city, and we're doing it. And we've increased funding to the arts as well. So we're well on track to becoming that future focused city, one where our future generation will have a climate resilient city, will have affordable homes, will have parks and nature on their doorstep, will have efficient public transport, pedestrianised streets, and all that good stuff is now on track. That's also why I stood aside as the mayor, because I was actually really happy with what we achieved. The naysayers would tell you otherwise, but you know what? Like, I figured I could still continue pushing along this vision by being a Māori ward councillor as well, because it's a vote around the table. But what's better, even better about this next phase is that I can focus specifically on iwi and the best outcomes and priorities for Māori in our city. What an honour. What an absolute honour. So I'm super excited about it.
With that focus on iwi going forward for you, what are some of the challenges that you might find around the table in the next term to make that future vision of the city a reality?
So naturally, we've got a minority group of current councillors who either disagree with the Māori ward, disagree with having Māori representation, iwi representation at the table. So on top of the Māori ward, we have our Tākaihiria agreement, which ensures that we have Te Atiawa and Ngāti Toa at the committee table with voting rights. That is absolutely crucial when setting the vision and policies for our city. And it has worked incredibly well for the last 4 odd years. So ensuring that we can retain that is not only hugely beneficial for Māori, but it is for all of our residents, because we end up with beautiful things like Capital Kiwi. Pushing to retain that stuff is going to be a challenge, especially when we have a government who is also not keen on retaining representation.
All over the country, we're seeing some very surface level campaigns at the moment about really cosmetic stuff, potholes, for example, or speed bumps, and that kind of bullshit that gets people angry but isn't really all that important. From your perspective, what issues do you think are actually facing the city and its residents today that they might be taking on board when it comes into how they vote?
Oh, look, it's definitely rates increases.
Mhm.
That's been a really big one. And no doubt across the country, they've increased significantly as a result of getting on top of water infrastructure. And that's hit every council hard. We are trying to maintain that balance on managing like core services and infrastructure and potholes, as well as the supposed nice to haves, which are the things that make a community a community. Things like the arts, things like nature, things like events. Those are absolutely crucial to the identity of a city and the health and well-being of its community. So, because we've had to invest on those two big areas, yes, that has led to an increase with rates, but the rates increases would also decrease over time as well.
Mhm.
My hope is that people, I know times are tough. There's a cost of living crisis, and we're all pretty burnt out. But this investment is absolutely necessary to get us out of the slump and take our city forward. And just if we all together as a community just maintain that long-term vision, we can really get there. And even 5 years' time, 10 years' time, 20 years' time, my goodness, we're going to love where we live. We're going to be proud of our community. We're going to be proud of our city because we finally invested in it.
When you're out there on that campaign trail, are you getting a response from the voters that they do understand that this is a long-term thing as well as a short-term thing? Like we're doing this now, so down the line we've
Yeah,
got
I
this
mean,
amazing thing.
I am, to be honest, like because I have a different sort of campaign now. It has been 100%. Let's forget about the better Wellingtons of this.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
you know, let's talk about actual voters. I've had 98% total positivity. because it's almost like over the last few months, people have seen the light a little bit. And whether it's because this government has really failed to take this country on a journey with them, and seeing lost investment in things like ferries, seeing job losses, and that's because of an austerity budget. Whereas we're going, hey, we've invested a lot in our city and we're going to get all these amazing outcomes. I think I get the vibe that people are starting to see, why it's important. So, look, I've had really amazing feedback, and people are like, yeah, it's really hard at the moment, but I get it. We've all got to do it together. It's not just a city problem, it's a country, world issue.
What has been your favourite moment of the campaign so far?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, it's personal, right?
Yeah.
For me, it's kind of reclaiming my strength back, reclaiming my narrative, reclaiming my why. With the whole stepping aside from the mayoralty and revealing the level of abuse and harassment that I was putting up with, it made me that much stronger. It made me more hyper focused on what I want to achieve and be like, if I can go through that, I can go through anything. And it's opened a lot of people's eyes in Pōneke. And a lot of them have gone, wow, we had no idea. We thought the rumors were true. We thought she was a bit loose, but actually it's just been complete defamation. And people are really like sympathetic now. And they come up to me all the time and they're like, we're so sorry. And it's like, look, it's all good. Politics is politics. I'm in a great space. I'm excited for the next path.
See, that's really cool. I love that kind of feedback because it shows that people can often disconnect from particularly the local body process, but the headlines grab headlines. But when they get to the bottom of it, it's real people who are running for these positions who are trying to step up in their communities. And I think sometimes voters forget that. They see you on the news and it's like, oh, I kind of have ownership of this person because they're on the news. So it's
Yeah.
really cool to see that they're actually switching on to that.
Oh, they are. And it's just, again, compared to a year ago, I'm in such a great spot. I was too scared to leave the house, I was so isolated and depressed and all that stuff. Now I just like out and about, back in my city, smiling at people because they know, like I get a lot of
Mhm.
looks of, like, we know what happened. We got you. And it reminds me of just how wonderful our community is.
I saw an opinion poll that was put out this week. I think it was Rebecca Matthews might have posted it up online somewhere, looking at the next mayor, is it like the race for that at the moment. Ray Chung's race seems to have crashed and burned a little bit after what happened.
Yes.
Have you had much feedback from the public about that whole situation around
Yes.
Ray's email and stuff like that?
Yes. It's very much a thank you. Thank you for letting us know. Thank you for, you know, the courage that it took to, kind of make myself vulnerable, but to expose someone who has no right to be mayor, who has no right to be an elected member, because we do not treat people that way. So I've had people often joking, going, like, oh, we've loved you as mayor, but man, it's a real legacy there, and it's like it's my service to the city, and that's how people have reflected it back to me.
It is by far the most high profile of those coordinated campaigns that we've seen around the country of people sitting on that right end of the political spectrum trying to undermine the process a little bit as well, the
Yes,
Better Wellington
100%.
Independent Together team. Um, I have to thank you for bringing that to light because uh, I certainly get a lot of traction with people watching the videos of here are the terrible candidates that you can see around your country. One of the bits of feedback that I get the most often is I didn't realize that it was like this. And I
Yeah.
find that kind of surprising.
Right. And people have been shocked, and I think it was the reaction of Ray to me exposing that detail. He just went on the defense and made himself the victim, and people were just like flabbergasted. And I'm like,
Hmm.
well, this is what he's like. This is who I've had to work with. He's also not the only one around the council table that's like that. And people are just like, you know what? kudos to anyone who puts themselves forward for these jobs when you're dealing with people who lack common decency, and you're dealing with these hate groups like Better Wellington, who you know. Shameful behaviour, and in local body, you just have fewer protections than you would then at Parliament. And so for me, it's actually been really wonderful to be able to daylight all of that so that we can start to create change.
One of the things I've noticed with the feedback I've been getting around the country is people going, but this can't happen in my community. It's like, well, yeah, it
Mm.
does. I know that there's a community in the Waikato where one of their candidates who's running part of the ticket, she was at the Wellington protest and she tweeted or she put something up on Telegram from the protest going, my plan is to storm Parliament. Yeah, I'm going to do a January
Yeah,
6th kind of moment. And
yes.
the response from the public has generally been, well, that's, I don't know if we want that. The response from the people involved have been, why did you say what we told people online? Like, there's
Yeah.
no stepping up and taking responsibility, and it's
Oh no, it's actually just outrageous and completely unhinged. Um,
yeah.
and what people need to know um, is that it exists in every single community. You know,
Mhm.
as you and I know, we've got candidates in every council running at the moment who are there purely to dismantle democracy
Yeah.
and harm other people. And it just what I've learned over the last few months is, and with academics like Dr. Cassandra Mudgway and Dr. Sanjana Hatutoa, is that um, educating people on these groups and the impact that they can have is exactly what we have to do at the moment.
Yeah.
When I first became the mayor and I knew that it existed, I was just like, oh, well, don't highlight it because, then it gives them a platform. I think that was a mistake. Because they've been able to, get some legs in that time. But so, look, let's all do a service to the community and show people just how harmful these people are.
Speaking of dismantling democracy, the government has decided against all of the feedback and recommendations that came through in the select committee process, which they truncated because they knew what was coming, to hold over 40 referenda this year around the country on the future of Māori wards. I'm really curious to hear your perspective on that particular referendum.
So I've said from the very beginning that it was completely, what was the word that I used? Well, it was an overstep for government
Mhm.
to do that because many councils had already gone through their process involving public consultation before establishing their Māori ward. We did. We got 96% approval from our community to do it, and now we've had to undo it and do it again. I have no doubt ours will go through with blue colours. Is that it? You know
Flying
what I mean.
colours.
But yeah, flying blue colours with flying colours. Um, but I think that the fact that the government chose to do this, teamed with other bits of legislation like the Regulatory Standards Bill, the Treaty Principles Bill, and all of that, it just really shows what are they doing? What are they doing to our democracy? What are they doing to our founding document? This is not actually what the majority voted for. You know, uh, like a lot of people, it seems like the ACT Party is just having way too much influence on this current government, an 8% party or whatever they got. It's completely wild to me.
I think it kind of gets exemplified in what we saw this week, and this will go out next week, so I guess it'll be last week when people are watching this, with Koronehana at Turanga
Mm,
Waiwai. The
mm,
Prime Minister is 100 miles away in Sylvia
yeah.
Park, telling people the date that IKEA is going to open.
Oh, it's just, it blows my mind.
Mm,
And even just in the last week, re-announcing that Amazon $7 billion project as
yeah,
well. It's really embarrassing. It's
yeah,
embarrassing, and it just shows just how where his focus is. He's a businessman. He is not a
yeah.
prime minister.
Yeah, and last night I went out to an event with Chippy. He was at Ngarawahia. He was at at the Koroneihana and still manage to get up to the North Shore and do a presentation out there to the nurses' unions and the nurses that have been
Yeah,
striking and get to his flight back to Wellington. So it can be done. It's just,
absolutely.
it feels like the Prime Minister said, this is where my priorities are. And he has a
Oh,
habit of
totally.
doing that around anything to do with the ao Māori.
Oh, 100%. And his focus is either on international travel
Hmm.
and, um, announcing things for multinationals. It's just, this is not who we are.
Yeah. Right, final question for you then. Second to last question, because the last one is a patsy question. It's super easy. But the second to last question for you is, what do you think voters should take into consideration before casting their ballot this year?
I think one is I know things are tough at the moment, but again, we have to have that long term view and vision of our areas, and paying for rates and dealing with the cost of living crisis. Like I get it, that's really tough. But if we want the best outcomes for our people and our environment, and the incoming impacts of climate change, that requires investment. So just consider that, and consider what your children and your grandchildren will be left with in the next few decades. It's really important. And two, please just really take note of which of your candidates are lying, and the rates freezes, rates caps, rates reductions. It's literally at the moment impossible to do that because we're all trying to pay for border infrastructure. So that's, be very cautious about that. I'm not going to say that people on the left or on the right are best or not best for your council. That's up to you. But it's more about who's actually telling you the truth, and who. So please just do your research.
Okay, and then the patsy question: how do people find more information about your campaign?
Oh, if they could go to greens.org.nz / Tory Whanau 2025, I'm here. I'm also on tory.whanau@gmail.com if you want to, have a conversation. The mayoral duties have started to lift a bit. So I've got a bit more free time, which is great.
Another one that's just popped into my head. I was talking to a couple of people who had, off the record, going, what is your favorite part of the role, who had already been elected? And they all said the same thing. I'm kind of curious if it's the same with you. What is your favorite particular duty to do as mayor?
Citizenship ceremonies.
Same answer as everyone else.
Really?
Yeah,
Are you
yeah,
serious?
yeah. There's just this kind of unmitigated joy about seeing people celebrate becoming Kiwis.
That is so. I mean, yes, because I
Mm.
that makes sense because I had my last one about 2 nights ago, and it was just wonderful. It's like that love and appreciation and inviting people as part of our whānau is there's nothing beats that feeling.
See, it's brilliant. See, I think it's a positive note for us to end on. Tori, thank you so much. Good luck with everything. Can't wait
Thank
till
you.
October 11th to see the results and find out which way Wellington has decided to vote. I'm pretty sure that even though there are some people out there saying they're going to vote better Wellington, they have no
I
idea.
don't, yeah, especially in Wellington.
Yeah,
Wellington is a progressive and caring community.
exactly. Thank you very much. Hey, don't forget to give the video a like if you haven't done so already, and make sure you hit that subscribe button for the most in-depth coverage of local government elections anywhere in the Motu.